He continued to create race cars and also sports cars for the streets. These kept the factory doors open and gave enthusiasts around the world cars that were fun to drive. Even though some of these cars are worth over $1 million, many owners still love to take them out and push them to the limit. The Ferrari company recognized this and launched the Ferrari Historic Challenge, a series of races for semi-professional and gentleman drivers. The cars are divided into 3 categories: single-seaters, drum brakes, and discs. Initially, races were just for the rarest Ferraris with a competition past. But in 1999, the series was expanded to include Maseratis as well. This not only increased the number of entrants, it added a little taste of historic rivalry. The challenges offer a chance for owners to experience what it was like to race these cars as they compete against fellow enthusiasts. By 1960, Ferraris were the uncrowned kings of automotive style and fashion. They screamed sex appeal. But these glamorous models were falling behind the technology curve. While the cars looked sexy, they had to change to remain competitive. Other Grand Prix teams were fielding mid-engine cars, and Ferrari soon followed with the 250 LM. This was Ferrari's first mid-engine model. He had to produce 100 of these in order to compete in the production sports car class. He only built 40, but he convinced the sponsoring organization, the FIA, that the 250 LM was just the latest variation of another car series. As a result, he qualified. Ford and others, like Carroll Shelby, protested. Ferrari was forced to race the 250 LM against bigger and more powerful cars. Henry Ford II was taken with the audacious Enzo Ferrari and his cars. Ford wanted to compete in European racing and decided the easiest way to do this was to buy Ferrari. He wanted the expertise of the drivers, engineers, and the racing crews that came in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 at Le Mans in 1963. Ferrari was interested in having Ford's enormous resources at his disposal. Negotiations proceeded. Ford flew to Italy to sign the contract, but Ferrari had one question: who would make the final decisions? When Ford said it would be him, Ferrari showed the visitors the door. Ferrari just couldn't give up control of his company, especially racing. Ford was outraged and vowed revenge. He ordered the start of a massive racing effort with one purpose: beat Ferrari. Work started on the Ferrari Hunter, the GT40. The goal was to build a car with a top speed in excess of 200 miles per hour. It had to sustain an average speed of 120 miles per hour over 24 hours. This is what it would take to beat Ferrari at Le Mans. The sleek and aerodynamic Mark I GT40 used an engine from Ford's Indianapolis race cars. It looked good, but there wasn't time to sufficiently test it before Le Mans. In June of 1964, it was time for the first face-off. 3 GT40s arrived to race, but none finished. Ferrari came in first, second, third, and fifth. Ford came back the next year with 2 modified Mark II GT40s. Both cars dropped out. Ferrari took first and second in the 250 LM that Ford had protested, and third in another car. Ford hoped Carroll Shelby could lead them to victory. He was told to do whatever it took to beat Ferrari. It's rumored that Ford had spent almost $1 billion on the GT40 program. He let Shelby know that money was not a problem. In 1966, he came back to Le Mans determined to win. The cloudy weather and rain showers were ominous portents for Ferrari. His cars failed to finish, and Ford finally swept Le Mans and eventually won the World Championship for prototype cars. Ford finally knocked Ferrari off the podium. Enzo Ferrari knew that he would need the deep pockets of a major manufacturer to continue to compete. In 1969, he made a deal with Fiat that allowed him to retain control of his racing efforts and gave him the money to race. He had to relinquish total control of the road car side of his business, but it was well worth it to stay in the game. Fiat invested in modernizing the manufacturing and development of the cars. They were still largely hand-built, but Fiat wasn't in business to win races and sell cars as a sideline. The focus shifted to increasing the volume of sales. It was a time of fervent development. When a television show, Magnum PI, featured a red Ferrari 308, the cars became even more famous. They couldn't stand still. In 1985, new cars like the 12-cylinder Testarossa and the 8-cylinder 288 GTO won over Ferrari fans around the world. A top speed of 180 miles per hour made the Testarossa, or Redhead, a must-have for anyone born with a speed gene. It became the most popular model ever offered. The company sold 7,200 Testarossas between 1985 and 1990 in North America alone. While Fiat worked on the road cars, Enzo Ferrari continued to do what he did best: build racing teams. He attracted Mario Andretti, Niki Lauda, and other drivers who became gods to Formula One fans. Racing wins helped the Ferrari legend grow. It's been said that in Italy, Ferrari was more famous than the Pope. 1987 marked the 40th anniversary of Ferrari's first car, and the company celebrated with the release of the F40. This mid-engine car was reminiscent of the 250 LM and gave customers the feeling of what it was like to drive a race car. The F40 incorporated many features perfected in Formula One racing. The body was made of composite materials, reinforced by carbon fiber and Kevlar. The doors only weighed 3.5 pounds each. The F40 was the culmination of everything that was Ferrari. Sadly, this would be the last new car that the 90-year-old Enzo Ferrari would see. He died in 1988. While Ferrari had died, his memory lived on. In 2002, the company revealed a tribute to its founder, the Enzo. Ferrari was coming off a remarkable string of victories, and they wanted to celebrate with a car that was like a Formula One racer. The result, the Enzo, looks like it was made for the track. Its 6-litre V12 engine and carbon fiber interior are evidence that it was built to race. This ultra-high performance car doesn't come with a stereo, cruise control or GPS, but its 218 miles per hour top speed is pretty entertaining. But only 349 people will have the privilege of owning one. Limited production became a mantra at Ferrari. Trying to build as many cars as possible could affect quality and tarnish the company's reputation. They'd build only as many cars as they could do well. Since there were more potential buyers than vehicles, this would also help to keep the prices up. People craved the hand-built touches, the painstaking attention to detail, and the stunning performance. All Ferrari hallmarks. From the first Ferrari and straight through every model since, there has been a desire to blend racing with style. They produced beautiful pieces of sculpture that look fabulous, go fast, and make an unforgettable sound. Enzo Ferrari captured the Italian passion for automobiles and became a giant legend around the world.